know what I mean? So the music was oriented us to political action. James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud, say it loud. This is what we was listening to. So when we felt like an injustice was being committed, we rebelled against the proper fucking authority. We went to the right motherfuckers, right? So what did they do? They said, okay, just like with Nat Turner, when they went down and censored what could be sang in the black churches, they did the same thing again. This time they flooded the fucking black community in the airwaves with fucking exploitation content.
Come on, brother.
Shaft, Superfly, Coffee, you know what I mean? The Mac, Nigga Charlie, and the Return of Nigga Charlie. These were mainstream American films put out by Hollywood. Nigga Charlie and the Return of Nigga Charlie. Then you want to act all fucking shaky when somebody say nigga? You've been promoting that shit for years. You know what I mean? And now you want to criminalize us when we use the word? You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here. That's like Don Imus trying to say rappers taught him how to say nigga. 70-fucking-year-old white boy, like his grandfather never said nigga.
Alright, so for those people who may be living under a rock, can you please introduce yourself, brother?
Wise, intelligent, legendary, poor righteous teachers. You know, we've been putting in work for a minute. You know, hip hop, activism, the whole nine. You know, we put out about 4 or 5 albums. You know, and now I'm doing my thing as a solo. The group is still working on records, so you know, we just doing our thing. You know, the unconquerable Jesus Jones.
All right. So for the first question, we want to know your theme in your music. What is your music about? What do you want to get the message across in your music?
Black liberation theology. You know, my music is like black liberation theology. You know, it's rooted in the old blues musicians' perspective. You know, it's like a epistemology of black thought, ideas, culture. You know what I mean? Our whole entire perspective on life, our interpretation of the world. You know, so my music is designed to interpret black struggle in a way that leads to liberation. You know.
Absolutely.
So when you look at the current state of the black nation, how would you describe it? Where do you think we are right now?
I think that we're exactly where we should be, considering the conditionings that were enforced upon us for so many years, for centuries. I think that any people that went through what we went through would probably be faring worse. You know, not saying that we're in a good spot, you know, but you know, I think that the job that was done on a level that deserves an Academy Award. I mean, an Oscar or something. I mean, they did their job. They played their role. We're where we are by planned, calculated machinations of white supremacy and racism, and that's just what it is. You know, we can't escape that. You know, so the state of black community right now is so fragmented. You know, there's no cohesive social theory for us to rally around. You know,
I say keep it real, because hip hop is the daughter of the blues. Alright? So we're keeping this shit really real right now. We're keeping it really fucking real. Here we are. 1965, the riots, the counter fucking revolution, the exploitation movies. Fast forward 1992, Rodney King get beat the fuck up in front of everybody. The whole world saw Rodney King get beat the fuck up. Why did the people rebel when the cops got off?
There's no mythology that bonds us together. You know, there's no religion that bonds us together. We're so fragmented and blown to and fro into all types of doctrines. You know, that we don't really have any type of flag to unite around. It's like we're separated into so many things. I mean, just when you look at like Christianity, Islam, you know, Israelites, you know, you have the, you know, Black Panthers, Nation of Gods and Earths. You have so many different things going on in the community. That's just the conscious world. But then you have the Bloods, the Crips, and you have all of these other things that's going on also. You know, so it's like, it's really tough. You know, then you have these neoconservative black people now who have joined the side of the GOP and so on and so forth, and they're doing their thing. So it's like, it's so divided, you know, because we don't understand, we believe we're in this post-racial environment. You know, the black community is in this place where, you know, we're at a crossroads. You know, where either we're going to say, okay, we're going to try and continue to dissolve into a culture that we can't dissolve into, or we're going to set up our own social theory and adhere to it.
Would you argue that that is the solution to the problem?
Right. I think that the solution to the problem is, understanding that that same threat that existed during chattel slavery, that existed during the civil rights era, exists today. The same threat is there. It just took a different shape, it took a different form, and that's the art of war, to use camouflage. And the enemy has camouflaged himself in a way that makes us think that we are responsible for the state that we are in, when we're not responsible. That was just to wipe away the idea of the enemy, war and threat. So now we have nothing to unite around. And during the civil rights era of chattel slavery, we knew who the enemy was. He was apparent and visible. So we knew, okay, the Ku Klux Klan will come and bomb your church. We knew that. We knew that you could be lynched if you went down this particular road. And now that those overt forms of attack have been culled by legislative attacks, we feel like the enemy is gone because we can't see him physically punching us in the face or smacking us in the head with a brick or sicking dogs on us or spraying us with water hoses. But the threat is even worse now because it's more subtle, yet the effect is more damaging. The prison industrial complex is predatory. It's attacking us, it's targeting us, and locking us up at disproportionate rates than anybody else. Especially when we consider 60% of all the prisoners in the system are nonviolent offenders. Why are they there? Every other culture has a deferring mechanism, deferring programs to defer their youth from prison time when they commit nonviolent crimes. Our community doesn't have that. We have to understand that these are the threats. The prison industrial complex is serving as the new Jim Crow. It's like Jim Crow all over again. It does the exact same thing to us that Jim Crow did. It takes away your right to vote. It takes away your citizenship. It doesn't allow you to matriculate into society after you've been convicted of a crime. So it's serving the same purpose.
So what do you think would be the way to make black people or the black nation aware of what's happening or aware of who the enemy is, the threat that it causes?
I think that we have to keep pushing media like this. We have to keep having the conversation, and for the most part, we have to be very practical. And, those of us who are in the know, so to speak, we have to be very practical and establish independent communities, self-reliant communities, to serve as examples of what we can do on our own. There was a time when we had no choice but to build our own communities, and we built our own communities. We had our banks. Maggie Lena Walker was a black woman, and she was the first woman president of a bank in America, white or black. She was the first woman in America to be the president of her own bank. But we're not taught that story. Maggie Lena Walker started her bank with all black people. And her bank started in 1913, and it just shut down in 2006. And that's amazing. That's amazing, but we're not taught that story. That entire community from Richmond, Virginia was booming. They were building malls, hospitals, clinics, schools, and things of that nature. They were providing their own needs. They were teaching their own children. Just like Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We were building communities all over the place. In Pennsylvania alone, there were several black communities that were very prosperous. And they were so prosperous, in fact, that in 1842, one of them was burned down to the ground on Locust Street, just off of South Street in Philadelphia. They burned the whole community down, robbed and looted the homes for pianos and things of that nature. Black people in 1842 had pianos and things of that nature in their homes. You go to South Street now, you go to Locust Street now, it costs you $1 million to buy a home there. And this used to be the black community of Philadelphia. Richard Allen's church is right there on 7th and Locust. So we have to understand that we come from we have a strong heritage of community development. And we have to just look back into our past and take those examples and follow those examples and implement, the strategies that they implemented, the practical